Child of God, who are you?
I am good news.
The children of God have good news for you.
Father, what's the good news?
Jesus loves you all.
Thanks be to God. Yay!
Today's gospel passage raises many questions, but I'm going to focus on two of them. The first one, after Jesus finished saying what he was saying, the crowd admired him. They were amazed by what they heard from him. But all of a sudden, the crowd turned against him and wanted to throw him down from the hill of the town. They wanted to kill him. So, the first question is, why did the friendly crowd all of a sudden become hostile? The second question comes from the end of the gospel passage. When they got to the top of the hill, where they intended to throw him down to kill him, it said Jesus passed through the midst of them and went away. How did that happen? Did he immediately become invisible? Did he become invisible that they could not see him? How did it happen that he was able to slip through them and they could not lay hold of him? How did they not succeed? Of the two questions, I begin with the last one from the end of the gospel passage. How was he able to escape? In my reflection, my mind went back to my childhood. I'm a middle child. And like people say about us, we seek attention a lot. I don't know if that is true of all middle children, but I know it is true of me. As a little child, I was well known for seeking attention. But I'm born again, I don't do it again. Of all my siblings, I have no competition when it comes to seeking attention. And there were many things I did to get the attention of my siblings and the attention of my parents. One of them, for example, I cried a lot. I can wake up in the morning and I'll look around just for any flimsy excuse, just for any reason. Because I want to get attention, I'll start crying. And I'll cry and cry and cry. And I'll get to a point where I'll forget why I started crying. And I'll start asking myself, wait a minute, how did I get here? What even led me to this cry? And most times I'll not even remember why I started crying. And then I'll remember that I've stopped crying. And I'll say, no, if they realize that I've stopped, they'll not pay attention to me again. And I'll start crying again. And I cry until I fall asleep. Now I look back and I laugh. I see emotion getting in the way of logic. Emotion getting in the way of reason. That I become so much emotional, crying so much, and then forgetting why I started crying. I think that was what happened to the crowd in today's gospel passage. They allowed emotion to get in the way of logic. Emotion to get in the way of reason. They turned against Jesus, and they began to hate Jesus so much that when they got to the point where they were supposed to throw him, when they were supposed to kill him, they forgot why they were angry. They forgot why they were furious. I wouldn't be surprised if at that point they didn't turn against one another. And so Jesus took advantage of their confusion and he went away. And I imagine that maybe later on they realized, wait a minute, why were we even angry? Oh, and where's the guy? Oh, it's nowhere to be found. So that is what I came up with in my reflection for that question. On the question of why did the friendly crowd all of a sudden turn to hating Jesus, becoming a furious crowd? Remember how it started. It said after Jesus finished reading what he was reading, he said what he said, and they admired him. And after that admiration, then they asked, "Is this not the son of Joseph?" Why that question? Traditionally, sons were expected to take after the profession of their fathers. If your father is a priest, you are expected to be a priest, especially the firstborn son. If your father is a king, you'll be expected to take over from him. So you practice, you learn from your father to take over from him. So in the case of Jesus, they just listened to him. He read like a prophet. He spoke like a prophet. He alluded to himself as a prophet. And then they came to that realization. Wait a minute. Is his father a prophet? Is he no longer the son of Joseph? We know Joseph. Joseph is a carpenter. So why is he not talking about carpentry? Why is he talking as if he is a prophet? They thought Joseph was his biological father. It was unknown to them that his real father is in heaven. Unknown to them that his real father is God. And that his real father is the one who sends prophets out. And so Jesus is the prophet of all prophets. He's the messianic prophet. They didn't realize that. Not only that, today's gospel passage begins from where we ended last Sunday. You remember last Sunday, Jesus opened the scroll of the prophet Isaiah, and he read from what we now know as Isaiah chapter 61, beginning from verse 1. "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to preach good news to the poor, to give sight to the blind, and to proclaim the Lord's year of favor." And they were expecting him to continue to something that meant so much to them. But Jesus stopped at that point. They were angry that he did not go to the next verse. Because the next verse talks about the Lord's day of vengeance, about the vengeance of God. And this vengeance of God was supposed to be against the other nations. That God was going to, on behalf of the Israelites, retaliate against the other nations. And they wanted Jesus to talk about that. No, Jesus did not. Rather, he focused on the good news that has come for everybody, including the other nations. They were not happy about that. And to add insult upon injury, Jesus placed himself in the line of the kind of prophets that they were not comfortable with, who did things that they did not like. The prophet Elijah. He went out to feed a widow, not any of the widows in Israel, but he went to the widow of Zarephath. And that they were not comfortable with. He left his own nation and went outside to feed others. The prophet Elisha, he saw all the lepers in Israel. He left them. He went to cure a leper in Syria, Naaman. They were not comfortable with that. And now Jesus is placing himself in the same line. Now Jesus has gone to Capernaum, outside of his own place, to perform miracles. And he has come home and is not doing it. And so they were not pleased. It is supposed to be for us. It is supposed to be for our people. Do not care about the foreigners. Do not care about aliens. Let us focus on the citizens. But no, that was not the way of Jesus. It was unknown to them that Jesus had already received the vision about his mission. That his call was to the whole world and not just to a particular nation. Yes, to begin with Israel, but not to end with Israel. Just like in the case of Jeremiah in the first reading. The Lord made it clear to him that from the womb already I called you. And my call to you is to go and preach, to go and prophesy to the whole nations, not just to Israel. In the case of Jesus, if you remember, for those of you who were at Mass yesterday, we celebrated the feast of the presentation of the Lord. And as a little baby, when Jesus was presented in the temple, Simeon prophesied, "At last, O powerful Master, you give leave to your servants to go in peace according to your promise. For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared for all the nations. A light to reveal your ways to the Gentiles." So this salvation is for all the nations. This light will reveal your ways to even the Gentiles. That was already prophesied about Jesus as a baby. But this crowd did not know that. That the plan of God was already set, that this good news should reach out to all. And that was what they were not comfortable with. And so they turned against Jesus. That is, either you are for us, or we are going to get you out of the way. Because we want who will help us to build the wall and break down all the bridges. And that is the call that God has given to all of us. Everyone here is for a purpose, has been created. Everyone has been created for a purpose. No one is useless. But generally, we have all been created to continue God's work of bringing all the nations together. St. Paul calls this the mission of love, as we read in the second reading today. Love is what we have all been created for, but in different ways. Not everyone is called to be a priest. Not everyone is called to be a husband. Not everyone is called to be a wife. Not everyone is called to be a biological parent. However, we have all been called to love. We have all been called to build bridges. We have all been called to break down walls. We have all been called to go across the aisle and reach out to other nations. Whatever you have been given not to keep for yourself, not to keep for your family, not to keep for your own nation, but to reach out to the rest of the world, to the glory of God. But like we read in the first reading, and we have seen also in the gospel passage, carrying out this mission would always meet obstacles. There are people who will not be happy with you because you are an apostle of love. There are people who are going to fight against you because you stand for justice. There are people who are going to fight against you because you are always for the truth. But God has given us the promise. He did it through Jeremiah. He has shown it also in Jesus. That if you stick to your mission, if you trust in God, even though people fight against you, God is going to fight for you. And you're going to slip through their hands. And before they realize it, you have gone. And so, my dearly beloved in Christ, on this day, I pray for you as I pray for myself, that God will grant us the grace to receive the vision that will make us to know what our mission is. And in carrying out this mission, whenever obstacles are placed before us, whenever stumbling blocks are placed before us, such stumbling blocks may become stepping stones that will even help us to climb higher until we achieve this mission and finally see God face to face through Christ our Lord. Amen. And so, children of God, I have good news for you.
Father, what's the good news?
Jesus loves you all.